Some people have eaten their dinner, so the biological system is working on them, so the sleep is coming in. So we have to compete. But let me take this opportunity to thank my senior brothers, the leaders of this Muslim community in Dondok. MashaAllah, the last time I was here, this was really like a warehouse. I toured around. Allah has bestowed upon you the opportunity to fix at least this ground floor, and some work also is going on the next floor. Secondly, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the blessing of life. Many of you are here, others passed on. The people I saw last time, some of them have since left the life of this world. And this time around, again in the cold weather, I decided to come and also share with you as we see what is happening globally. All of us know. The third is to thank you very much for keeping together. There are differences all over the world in communities, whether they are religious or not religious. Divisions are there, maybe because of politics, some divisions because of the economics or money. Other divisions are tribal. Maybe you read, you hear, you see on TV. So many people disagreeing over small things, others disagreeing over big things. Some of the things we can understand, others we may not understand them, and it is not our fault. I'm supposed to be sharing with you this evening briefly about mentorship of students, mentorship of children, the role of the kids, the role of the parents. Every day, every week, you get preachers. I am not the most knowledgeable in this group, and I'm sure we are not going to undertake Quranic studies or hadith extensively, but I just want to share with you certain facts and certain realities as a Muslim community here in Ireland. We call you people in the West. I don't know which campus is used when they say you are in the West. Because actually some of you are not in the West. If you look at the location of the campus, the geographical north, you will see sometimes you are in the south, but they say you are in the West. Again, because of politics and the globalization, where you sign, the alignment, and so on and so forth. Now, my dear brothers, senior brothers, some of you are much older than me. Some of you are my sons and daughters. Some of you are my colleagues. I want to tell you that what I'm talking to you about this evening is not just academic. I'm speaking from a perspective of a parent. I'm sure if I asked any one of you to guess the number of children I have, most of you might fail the answer. Mzee, how many children do you think I have? No?
They give only small number.
That's how many?
Mine
Yeah.
children.
Yeah, 56, 3 to 5.
3 to 5. Somebody has given me 6. How many can you give me?
11. Okay.
The other one has said 11 and they have laughed. Mzee, how many children do I have? 10 at least. Sure.
How many wives?
No, that one we shall go to it later.
How many children you have?
It's only children, because if you ask me about wives, that's another factor now. Don't guess. You are trying to open the answer. Anyway, the one who said 11, you add 1 so far. They become how many? 12. So I'm speaking from a perspective of a parent. And my brother, I can answer your question. So far, I have two.
You have
Two wives.
Oh, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. So far. You know, I have to underline this so far. Now, I want you to realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once upon a time made you from a non-entity. I think you know this from the Quran. A non-entity, just through the pleasure of your parents. You came out. You were once upon a time a kid. You were given an opportunity to grow in an environment. Some children are unlucky these days because of the geopolitics in the world. They will never know peace, they will never know harmony, and so on. But for you who are given the opportunity to nurture, to guide your children, mentorship, what they call mentorship, requires three things. If you are talking about mentorship of children, there are three things. There has to be a mentor. There has to be a mentee. And there has to be content on which they have to mentor the person. So, in mentorship of children, in modern day science, modern day life, people think that children are supposed to be mentored when they start understanding. It begins from the time you make a choice of a spouse. The mentorship, we are talking about the Islamic mentorship. And when we go to the definition and the criteria the Prophet ﷺ laid down in choosing a spouse, whether a male or a female, you are actually building a program for which it will either be successful or you will have challenges. That is stage number one. So choosing the correct spouse. Most of you have daughters and sons. In building a community, unless there is a situation that prevents your daughter from getting married to somebody's son, the brother's son, you should encourage pairing of your children when their right time has come to actually form a family. This is very, very important. In Islam, we should always encourage dealing with the knowns. We have to limit the extent to which we guess. There is nothing that happens by chance. So I wanted to approach this mentorship from a different perspective where we reflect the Islamic teachings, connect it to our own situation. This is really, really very, very critical for you to understand. So when you make the right choice of a good spouse, you go through the steps and refer back to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he describes the criteria you follow. You will see, whereas there is emphasis, but the last criteria of deen is overemphasized. I'm sure that one, every day they repeat it. I'm just breaking it down for you. Why? Because religion will humble any person if you are genuine, if you are sincere in the spirit and in action. Religion will be able to control, it will pull down. In fact, what is happening globally now in terms of sensitivities of the spread of Islamic religion, in fact, people who are very, very strong in their Islamic faith, they are more humble, they are more modest, their approach is different. They are very, very difficult even to identify in communities. And what they do is very impactful. So I want us as number one to understand that we come all the way from choosing of spouses. Number two is the environment in which we live after we have formed a family. This young man and young girl who you have put in nikah, you have married them, mashallah, you have given them support. People have celebrated they have eaten a cake, they have shared gifts. What is the environment at home? Have you reflected about it? You know, from the time you marry your wife and when you start having the first kid, the second kid, and so on, have you reflected how pure the environment is from day one when you marry? Even the time your wife is pregnant, mentorship is happening. You will be very surprised. There is research that has shown that children, if a mother is pregnant and she smokes, the smoking affects the womb. If she lives in a noisy environment, there is a high probability that the kid who will be born will have issues with their growth. If they eat junk food, that nutrition, you know, the umbilical cord of a kid is where the kid feeds from the mother. So whatever type of food the mother eats is what will finally go in the blood of the child, and therefore the growth of the brain, the limbs, and all the parts will be affected by the food. If the mother drinks, there is also a very big dilemma, because alcohol has got its own challenges. So this is something that I want you to think about. Now you have got children, alhamdulillah. What do? Do you know that those who plan for the world, those who plan to manage the world, impact the thinking of our children through literature? The textbooks that are used in some schools, some education systems, depict certain values where your children and my children go, where they go through, where they study, and then they come home, they want to challenge your own values. This is something that we all need to look at and also appreciate. So, if we think about how to mentor the children, what can we do? Some of us as parents maybe needed to go through the Islamic training. You missed madrasa. You have never gone through a proper madrasa. The deen you are practicing is we call it the mosque deen. It is the mosque deen. It is the Ramadan deen, where you improve your religion. But you've never gone through a proper system. You married a woman who also does not have similar training. So what do? There are a few steps we can take to improve. Number one, we can make an effort to ensure that our children study deen. They are busy. Everybody is busy. You know, even when I came, it took me how many hours? 12 hours to meet, except my brother who arranged to pick me up. But it took me 12 hours to see the imam, because everybody is busy trying to survive. So we have to make an effort and take our children in a very deliberate effort. It must be deliberate. There is nobody nowadays who is going to succeed in mentorship of children, in bringing children in a deliberate way, unless we have to determine a program and decide and say, here at Dundalk, we have got a program, we develop modules. Inshallah, if it is Salah, we develop modules where all our children go through the module. If it's about giving, charity, we train them about that. If it's about sharing, we also develop. We extract a hadith, we get some verses of the Quran, we show our children the importance of giving charity. If it's about visiting the sick, then go with your children, arrange when you go to visit a sick person. That's the best way a kid will learn. They learn by seeing. They learn by seeing. And that is why the TV is the biggest tool that is used to come up to your bedrooms, to come up to your living rooms with programs. Sometimes your children watch while you are away, and then the children, some of them develop violence, because even the cartoons are designed, some of them, you need to mentor and also filter whatever goes through in your TV rooms. We are not saying that you shouldn't stop children from looking at TV, but you must have a mentorship program. If you go to the market, go with your son or your daughter, walk with them, brothers and sisters. It is very, very important to mentor them. Mashallah, like the ones you people have brought young children here, it is very important. Even if they fall asleep, it is okay, because you must have a deliberate and measurable scheme to ensure that these children are being mentored, they are being trained. Why? The world we are living in, brothers and sisters, is a very tough one. The world is very challenging. The largest population in most countries, over 75%, are people who are 30 and below. 30 and below. These are, first of all, a group that is not even working. Majority of them don't have jobs by that time, or they are having their first jobs. They are still highly dependent, but they have more information than the age groups that are above 30. They are trendy. You know, you'll find children holding the most recent phones. They know everything that is happening in the world of entertainment, in the world of sports, in the world of politics, than us who are aging out, who are about to leave this world. So, in summary, I have said we start from the beginning. How we pair, how we choose spouses, to the environment in which our parents, the way we want to live at home, what we do. Number 3, we must have a deliberate program that is going to help to mentor our children. How did it happen? If you don't have the time, you can do what they call shadowing. I think you know what shadowing, like they say there's a government in place, there's a shadow minister, in other words, a minister in the opposition. So what you can do, if Imam Noor, you know that Imam Noor maybe for the next month is going to have his leave, you can shadow your children with him. You can give him your children, maybe 1 or 2, and say, this is my son. He's very lazy at offering prayers, Fajr prayers. I would like you to help me. I'm not bringing him to you with any knowledge that he's coming to actually get mentorship from you. Delegate the children, but be careful. First of all, understand where you are delegating the children. We have a system in some countries where you delegate. In fact, the wife of sheikh can be maybe a very good wife. She's the leader of the Muslim ladies. The wife of Imam Noor or Raj can decide to negotiate. That night, the brother can go to Imam Noor and say, I'm going to spend the night today here. I don't have work for the next 2 days. Imam Noor sends his wife, they go. They share. Of course, they will rumor monger. You are also likely to rumor monger. As men, you can talk. But that brotherhood that you need to extend will help. If your child reaches in the other home and he has been taking for granted the large quantities of food at home, sometimes it is wasted and thrown away. The day he goes to Sheikh's place, I'm just using an example, and he finds that they eat only 1 meal, he's going to appreciate and say, Subhanallah, I thought here we are privileged. But at the other end, why don't we get some of this food that is excess, we share it with the other people. Your own son will start telling you, sir, we have bought 3 melons, let's donate 1 to Sheikh so and so, because we have friends there. Last time they brought us this, today we should take them that. So those are very basic. They may not sound religious advices, but they are the basics that build the bond. What is the overall aim of a mentorship program. Mentorship is you are passing a good value, a good practice from one person to another. This person who is receiving is considered to be having less of that value. And that's what we are lacking. We are too busy looking for life. All of us. Too busy, including myself. When I'm at home, I'm too busy. I'm heading a very big university. I have a primary school. I have a few other things I do. But you find you don't have time. So what I do, sometimes I tell my son after school, get in the car. Let's go for Jama. When we reach there, he sees Uncle so and so, Salaam alaikum, how are you? I said, you know this one? This one works in the bank. This one does this. So that mentorship. And I'll pick the example. I was told that the Israelites, the Jews, have got even a different, very complicated method. They walk with their children in the street. When they are walking, they tap on their ear. When the kid turns around, they tell them, that's your enemy. That's your enemy. You can imagine from the time the kid is just small. Of course, it may not be encouraged that way. But we also have a prophetic hadith. We know very well. The Prophet ﷺ was so kind. He was kind to children. He was kind to animals. So how do you instill that kindness, the sense of giving? All that is about mentorship. So that is part one as I come to the last part of my submission. Now, your role as a parent. It is not true that every man and wife, every husband and wife who have children qualify to be parents. Have I made a very tough statement? Did you hear my statement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not every man, not every husband and wife, even if they have a child, qualify to be what? Parents. They don't qualify to be a father. There is the process of reproduction. You marry your wife, she becomes pregnant, you deliver what? A baby. But do you reflect the life of the Prophet ﷺ? What happened when he went to marry Aisha? Who remembers? What happened? How old was Aisha first of all, radiallahu anha? 9. Did the Prophet take her straight? What happened? Consent was given, and then Aisha went back, isn't it? Until she became what? Why? Who knows the reason? Who knows the reason? Preparation. There's need for us. How many of us received lectures on how to be a good father? How many? In Africa, if we are going to give away a girl, they concentrate on the girl. They get her like 5, they call them aunties. This one will come with this story, how to do things. This one will say, this is how you prepare food. The other one will be told, this is how you prepare, you lay the bed. This is how, you understand? They concentrate. But tell me for the boy, how many of you received lectures? Everybody assumes you know. But parenting, like 30 years ago, is completely different from parenting now. The child will ask you a very difficult question. I have little daughters like that one, that size. I have a girl like that size. Muslima, she's called Muslima. She will come and ask you a question and you will not even believe where she got such a question. These are the kind of children. So, how do you deal with the emotion of your child? First of all, the curriculum is so complicated at school. They are given homework, you cannot even solve one problem in the homework. They bring numbers. The time we started, the curriculum was different. Now they come with work that is difficult. Number 2, Your child may be bullied. How do you deal with a child who has been bullied at school? Number 3, you have an issue at home. How do you resolve your anger? What happens? Do you let the children first go to bed? You as a young father, a young mother, I'm hoping we have some ladies out there. You are a young parent. How do you deal with disciplining the child? Can you believe in some families they still give corporal punishments? Somebody he is even a teacher of Quran in the Tahfiz Center. He has a wife. But then if you see the way he punishes the children, you cannot even believe the harsh approach they use, which is not acceptable. Those corporal punishments, even the laws have banned them in many countries. How do we use hikmah? How do we use wisdom in whatever we do? So, are we ready as parents? Do we go for parenting classes? Oh, no. For me, ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala nisa. My friend, don't ask me this. I'm a man. I'm the head of the what? Of the family. I don't need your advice, but your wife can advise you. But don't be over-advised also, because you are supposed to be a man. So how do you balance those two? So these two aspects are very important. We need to be reminded all the time. Mashallah, you now have access to the internet. You can read content, good Islamic content, about how to parent our children. Like you, in the morning you decide to go to get the Quran and you read some verses of the Quran, you can also make reference on how to do good parenting. How do I mentor my children? How do you deal with a girl who has just entered her menstruation period, adolescent, she has grossed? How do you deal with her? Is it a matter of your wife? This is not your business, isn't it? You are not concerned. Yours is to give them money, they go to the supermarket and they buy sanitary pads. No. This is your daughter. What about the boy who starts chasing girls? How do you deal with that boy of yours? Do you just get a stick and hammer him? Or you need to take a walk with him on a sunny day in the community park and go there? You say, okay, so what is your life these days? What is happening to your body? You start asking that straight talk, especially in the Muslim community. We are still quite very reserved and we take things for granted. And I have seen the consequences. The children decide to go their own way, the parents go their own way, and we have a crisis. So my brothers, as I promised, I have given you this curtain raiser. I know that you can be able to find out as I summarize. Inshallah, I request you to reflect the best method, the best values that you should have in your families. The values of acceptance and integration. The values that we know we do not live alone. We are with people. Even if they are within the Muslim community, they have different mentalities. Our future lies in the hands of the future. Our future is with our children. These children are the ones who are going to take over from all of us. Therefore, we have to prepare them. The Prophet ﷺ, before he was appointed in childhood, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made arrangements. He orphaned him. The mother also died. The uncle died. They delegated everything around him. He grew up in a very difficult situation. Why? Because he was going to carry a big responsibility. If we allow our children to be like, you will forgive me if I use very tough language. We have local chicken. I don't know whether here you have local chicken. You call them hard and soft.
We have in the farm.
You have in the farm.
Yeah.
There are some that are local. Yeah, those free-range chicken. Their meat is tough, but I'm sure ours there, they understand that that is the sweetest. Yeah, this is the sweetest chicken. Yeah? But if you go for the broiler, you also know it is very soft. It can be cooked simply. We want our children to be free range. You know what I mean? They should be free range. They should be organic. They should be tough, but with discipline. They can withstand. They can go without a meal in a day. That is mentorship. Don't make them go over excess. You manage that. Prepare them. Yeah? Can you imagine the Prophet ﷺ only became prophet when he was how many years old? 40. And unlike Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, his prophethood was announced when he was what? Just in the cradle, at birth there. Was it impossible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just to appoint Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to become a prophet? No. It is about going through the cycle of life. Please, as I wind up, make sure your child is exposed enough. Make sure you have learned how to be a good parent. Our boys and girls, young boys, the boys, Sajjad and others, you have to know that you are coming later to take over responsibility, the young people. Therefore, if your dad says, today we are walking to the supermarket, don't say, Dad, I can't walk. You must walk. You go. If they say carry, you carry these items until we reach halfway. Don't make arguments. That is part of preparation. So whenever we are reflecting, even when the Prophet ﷺ was challenged in his family, when he had multiple families, sometimes he could be challenged. And wahi came several times, revelation, it came. Why? Because all of us have got to follow a certain mentorship program. So I hope, brothers, I have tried to simplify the topic for us to appreciate that all of us, shukran, have a responsibility before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you are alone, you will answer only your questions and maybe for your parents. When you establish a family, remember your file will grow. Make your effort as long as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you life. You can be tough, but you should also have moments where you can relax. We have to moderate the way we upbring our children. We have to moderate. The studies have also shown, my brothers, my senior brothers, studies have shown that children who grow up in violent families will definitely be violent in their lives. Some of the people you find on the road, whether they are police, whether they are public servants, and you see them and you don't see any respect, it's like they quarreled with you last night. Sometimes they have had a history in the family. So let us try as much as possible to make sure we nurture and train our children in the moderate way, not extreme. Don't be too soft and don't be too tough. Don't also make the children look like, it is easy, but also don't scare them off about life. You need to do a balance. I thank you very much, and if there is any question, I can be able to answer it. You can make reference. You can go in the Holy Quran. As I said in the beginning, I didn't want to load you with references, but if you want to know the nasiha of a father to a son, go and read Surah Luqman. Go and read. If you want to see how siblings should work together and avoid jealousy, go and refer to Surah Yusuf. Go and see. When a whole family decided to gang against one young brother. Even in that situation, when Yusuf came and narrated his history, his dream to his dad, what did his father say? He warned him, do not do what? Don't tell. Even when he went, when his children were going to Egypt, when Yusuf had become very important, their dad advised them, please do not go through the main gates. Use different, and don't go through the same. Why? There is a lot of jealousy. If your son or daughter is excelling in class, please don't advertise it. Just pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah continue to guide my son or my daughter. So there are reference points. If you go to the Quran, let us not just refer to the Quran in hard cut out verses of the Quran. Let's pick some examples from it and refer to it. I mean, you can start like today the Imam was reading, when these communities decided to, you heard what he was reciting. There are so many examples, so many. The communities were staging a lot of resistance. They were deviating from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were creating other idols instead of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were preaching, even when they were given instructions, don't do this, they actually did that. So, I mean, we are not going to invent the wheel. I want you to reflect, use the reference. Refer to the Quran. When you read, Surah Luqman, you can even list the good things. Good things that Luqman just advises. Read about them. Read about them. Go to Surah Ibrahim. Read about his, whatever they have talked about. Go to Maryam. They may make allegations, do this and this. She's a believing woman. You can go from the beginning to the end, just picking lessons which we can use in our community. So I thank you very much, and I hope, inshallah, we will be in a position to interact again soon. And I thank you for giving us this time. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward us. And also we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us as parents and also to guide our children, to give us the best model to copy from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to make reference to the Quran in our lives, to be able to seek for guidance and protection. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank Allah for giving us this chance. Thank you for your patience. I would like to call Dr. Adjun to Benjamin to say thanks to Professor.
Jazakallah khairan. We can't really say more than that because he has left a behavioral model to constructivism to actually teach us what to do. He has thrown challenges to us. He did not really lecture us. He was challenging us. He was calling us to reflect, to see how can we do it better. We've been doing it, but how can we do it better? How can we do it as a community, not as individual? And then, within very short time, less than 40 minutes, he has been able to really give us more than what we can get in encyclopedia. What can we say? More than Jazakumullah khairan. We thank you. We appreciate your coming. We don't know really how to thank you more than that. And we pray to Almighty Allah to thank you for us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So, brothers, as we say, inshallah, for tonight, Doctor will have him for 2 days. if tomorrow we've been trying to organize by the request that other brothers also ask him, inshallah. If tomorrow we may come back here, if not, we may be in the other masjid, Yakin Masjid. There's still some preparation. So if the program doesn't go on very well, if it is not confirmed, we will continue with that lecture here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.